My name's David Lambird. I'm chairman of Eastbourne Motoring Centre and previously director of Eastbourne Marketing Group. The Marketing Group was a group of businessmen who came together, summoned by the Director of Tourism and Leisure, Ron Cousins, back in 1991, that seaside towns were going through a very, very bad time. The business was getting less and less and less, and everybody was very worried about it. Eastbourne had 10,000 beds in it, where Brighton only had 6,000. So it caused a very, very big problem for the tourism and the hoteliers in Eastbourne, and for the businesses, obviously. So a group of guys came together, of entrepreneurs, businessmen, and we formed the Eastbourne Marketing Group, and we were all directors, and we all brought some expertise to the table. Now, Ron Cousins was the chairman. Mark Smith was his right-hand man, who was the enabler, that anything we wanted from the Borough Council. Nigel Greaves was the director of advertising on the Beckett newspaper group. Peter Hawley was a hotelier at the Grand Hotel, and also he was president of the Eastbourne Hoteliers Association. I was also president of the Industrial Association. We had Kevin Regan from the Eastbourne Chamber of Commerce. He was president of the Eastbourne Chamber of Commerce. And Mike Reed was an estate agent who was very keen on promoting Eastbourne, the growth in Eastbourne. We had Tim Martin, who was a marketing man. We had Tony Clark, who was our secretary, and a guy called Martin Blore, who was the manager of the pier at the time. Martin came on a little later, but we wanted to try and come up with a scheme to turn Eastbourne around. And so at the time, the RAF were holding a recruitment campaign on the Western Lawns every year, and they run it for about 7 years, and the last 2 years the Red Arrows came, and it was a great pull for Eastbourne, and brought a lot of people in. They wanted to pack up, and we went to the RAF and asked them if we could take it over and to put on a full-blown air show off of Eastbourne. Of course, it took a bit of convincing that we would be able to do it, but with the expertise we had and with help from the Borough Council, we had to shut off the seafront and everything else. Airborne came together, and it was a phenomenal success. The Hoteliers Association, who were previously bleating a few weeks before, they had no customers, it was all quiet. Suddenly, over that weekend, Eastbourne did £5 million worth of extra business. The hotels were full. They were all complaining that they sold out of beer several times. They had several more sittings for lunch, extra sittings for lunch, and they were completely exhausted. But it was a tremendous success, and we're buoyed up by that. When we look around Eastbourne at things that needed some help and some fresh ideas, some brainstorming, we would just go from one to the other. One thing we needed was money, and so we started up a company called the Eastbourne Sunshine Coast, and we run a lottery in the Arndale Centre every week, selling lottery tickets. And this, unfortunately, this was about a year before the National Lottery came on scene, so that blew us out the water after that. But in the meantime, we'd generated income, and we were enabled to do all sorts of lovely things. Mark Smith, I was fishing in Aberdeen, near Aberdeen, and I noticed that on the roadside, it was the granite city, it's all grey and horrible, but every spring there were daffodils on the side of the road. And so I said to Mark Smith, we need daffodils on the road on every entrance to Eastbourne. And he said, right, okay, we'll do it. And we do it. And if you drive into Eastbourne today, you'll see in the springtime, and it's a wonderful time of the year right now to be they're just coming into bloom again. It just completely freshened the place up. If there was a torn poster, or if there was litter, or if there was anything that was obvious that detracting from from Eastbourne, we would report it, they would sort it, and so that's where Team Eastbourne came together. And my particular expertise came in that I was really seriously worried about the way that customers were treated in shops and businesses throughout Eastbourne. The customer always seemed to be a nuisance, and where they would just ignore customers for ages. I've heard it so many times in my trade, the garage trade, when a customer walks in to buy a car, and then he gets completely ignored and then walks out. So I worked up a program which we were going to run out to every single employee to say that, and it was the thoughts of Chairman Mao, really, a little booklet, and in that booklet it said what we stood for, and encouraged people not to be on their own. They were part of a team. So if for our argument's sake, somebody was starting work on a particular job, didn't have the parts, and was worried whether he got the skill or expertise to do the job, it was much better to say, don't do it. Come straight away, notify us. We will have somebody on the company with that expertise, and you can learn from that. So there was no public loss of face. We brought out a mission statement where we said that the customer was king. Nobody ever won an argument with a customer, although you may have think you have, but they just walk. It costs 10 times more to get a new customer than it does to satisfy an existing one, and all sorts of wonderful things like that. So it just changed people's attitudes, and it worked very well on our company. It got people working together as a team rather than as individuals. It got a great team spirit, and that thread still runs through the company today, and we're talking back in 1992. That still runs today, and that's made a tremendous difference on the way that customers are treated. That work has got to be done right first time, on time, to keep our reputation right. And the Chamber of Commerce asked me if I would run my program, our company's program, out to the Chamber of Commerce, the Industrial Association, and to the Hotels Association, which we did. And the Borough Council were along as well. And the Borough Council asked if they could adopt our scheme for all their employees in Eastbourne, because we needed to change our attitudes. And so we were absolutely fine by us. And that worked so well across Eastbourne that we run it out to all the major companies. And major companies, when we were needed to raise money, when we were begging and scrounging for prizes, for auctions or draws or anything like that, when we had a major project on, they would of course then be part of the team and very keen to help. So that's basically the way we used to work. But there was some tremendous expertise brought to the table by these different directors, and it's just was a great success. It helped stabilise the environment. It changed the attitude of the people and the staff in Eastbourne. We brought out marketing programs and posters in London and things, and we would send to targeted people. We send a lovely little postcard showing the Downs or anything, and say this is my view on the way home from work in the evening, just and showing beachy head and all these sort of things. So it just started to change the people's view. It wasn't God's waiting room anymore. We're now becoming attractive for younger members, younger families to want to live and work in Eastbourne, and that's good for everybody. So that's basically where the marketing group came from. It continued successfully for many years. It became a bit political. I made one big mistake that we were getting no money from Europe at all in East Sussex because we didn't have an office in Brussels. So I stood for the county council as a county councillor and got on the Europe group, and in no time at all we were able to get a £4 million grant. But our friends, the French, I was on the county council for 4 years. Our friends, the French, would not ever agree the claim form to free the money off for Eastbourne. So I never achieved much on the county council there, but it sowed the seed. When the government wanted to run out a program of one-stop shops, of somewhere, if somebody in business wanted to know some expertise, or there was just one place they needed to go, and EDIL, the enterprise agency, we John McDonald and dear old George, they were running EDIL, and the government then wanted to give us a substantial sum of money to run this out and then be to prove the system that it could operate in the rest of the country. So there were some wonderful things done. A lot of young companies, young enterprise, new people coming into business. We had mentoring from the existing business people. So that was good. Another major thing we did we did a pleasure to do business exhibition in Eastbourne, and what we did, that I was walking through my office one morning and Smith & Usman's van came through, and I said to the bookkeeper, do we deal with Smith & Usman? And they say, no, we don't. And I said, well, they deal with us. Where do we buy all our paperwork from and business forms? He said, Snow's business forms in Poole in Dorset. So I said, well, that won't do. We're going to change that. So back to the marketing group and say, right, I want to put an exhibition on at the Winter Garden. I want to encourage every major business in Eastbourne to come along and say, this is what we manufacture in Eastbourne. This is our strength in depth. This is what we matter. This is where we sell to, but on the other side, this is what we buy. And then people could go around the exhibition and say, well, look, I would love to quote you for your business forms, for your cars, for your whatever. People like HMD Pumps, they supported us and said, look, there's no chance. We do big pumps for heavy industry. There's no way we're going to do any business at your exhibition, but we will come and support you. So I really appreciated that. Just happened to be on the night one night they were there, a guy from Sweden came in, and he had a job of moving very, very heavy oil, and it could only be done by a heated pump. And HMD had a heated pump that would do it. And from that, dear old John got a great order from the Swedish government. Now, people like Llewellyn's, the builders, they were national. And I tried hard to sell them cars, but we were just young lads trying to get on in the world. But John Llewellyn came round with David Llewellyn and said, look, what you're trying to achieve here in Eastbourne is good for Eastbourne, and we're going to buy our cars from you in the future. So straight off, totally unexpectedly, we managed to get quite a substantial order. And it worked well. People worked and traded together, and they still do today. And it really warms the old heart when I go to the Chamber of Commerce and look, they're still doing a pleasure to do business exhibition down there, and people are working and trading and networking together. It's really great stuff, you know, and it's so rewarding from my point of view, being very old now, to look back and just say, well, we made a difference, and that people continue to make a difference. What we started, other people have picked up and gone on with. And my son Mark now sits on the Chamber of Commerce on the banking side, where somebody from the Bank of England comes down and gives their view of how the economy is going to be running, and it helps him with his plans and other people in town with their plans. And it means that we're a substantial player now, and it's all off the back of 1991's despair, and the people seeing the need, meeting the need, young guys getting together, fired up, and started it off, and thank God it's still running today. I started the business in 1960 with a £30 loan from my mum, who sadly I never did repay, the darling. But I just worked hard and grew it on, and took over Eastbourne, the garage in Eastbourne in 1966, and then bought bought a premises in Commercial Road, where we run all the service and parts from, and then several showrooms around Eastbourne. And I had to retire with a bad back in 2000 when I promoted my son Mark to be managing director. Now he's gone on to grow the business, following the guidelines and the threads of what we started all those years ago. And he now sells 4,000 cars a year. He does £60 million worth of turnover, 30 million of it to export. Now, who ever heard of a seaside town exporting 2,000 cars a year? But he does it. We've been the leading exporter of General Motors products to Europe for the last 25 years. We sell all makes to export, and the business runs every aspect of the garage trade, to repairs, to parts, to everything else. We're multi-franchise with Vauxhall, Mitsubishi, Suzuki, and various other odds and ends that I can't remember. It runs, it's still a family business. It's the biggest local family business in Eastbourne. It employs a best part of 150 people, 150 families that we're very proud of. We work very close together with them. There is no standing on ceremony. We're all the very best of friends, and that way that we can achieve and keep going from strength to strength. And I'm proud of what they've achieved, and I'm so pleased that I played a small part in it in earlier days. As well as the pocket edition of what we stand for, which I've shown you, we also did a mission statement. And I know today this is very old hat, but this is the sort of thing, it still means as much today as it ever did then. But in our mission statement, we still say, our customers are king. They are always right, although sometimes we know different. No person has ever won an argument with a customer, although they thought they might have done. But the customers just walk away to someone else. Remember, it costs 10 times as much to get a new customer as it does to satisfy an existing one. And please do never start a repair if you haven't got the parts or the skills to do it right, on time, right first time. Don't be worried. We're a team that there's going to be somebody on the team that does have those skills, and you can learn from them. So this is just a little brief thing of where we were trying to change attitudes and to pull people together and to be part of Team Eastbourne.